Okay. All right, well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Spring 2021 Virtual Educator Externship, hosted by ElevateEdAZ, the Center for the Future of Arizona, Arizona Business and Education Coalition, and the Pima County Superintendent's Office. As a reminder, we ask that you please keep your cameras on for the duration of the session and ensure your microphone is on mute if you are not speaking. Today's session is hosted by Cherie and Angie from Freeport-McMoran, who will be discussing career path opportunities in the mining industry. And with that, Angie and Cherie, I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thanks, Casey. Thanks, everyone. We are pleased to be able to spend some time with you this afternoon and share a little bit more about what we do at Freeport-McMoran and opportunities available in the mining industry. We'll have two additional colleagues join us later in the presentation, and we'll introduce ourselves here in a minute. So we are really hoping to have an interactive experience with you all. And one of the things that we use in our community meetings on a regular basis is a tool called Mentimeter. And I don't know if any of you already use this tool. And if not, it might be a resource that you can build into your classroom. There's an option that's available for free. And we ask everyone if you can either scan the QR code, and you can do that by just putting your phone up to the, with your picture app open, or you can go to www.menti.com and use the code on the screen here. And we're just asking everyone to share your name, the school that you're affiliated with, or the organization if it's not a school, and then your role. And so we will jump to another slide and then come to the Menti results and show you how that all plays out. So we'll go ahead and also put that code in the chat because we're going to use Menti a couple times. So we'll add that in so that everyone has access to that if you weren't able to do it during that first slide. So as I mentioned, there will be 4 of us today who are going to share with you a bit about Freeport-McMoran. Myself and Cherie are both in our Community Development and Social Responsibility group. We have a group of folks who focus on our engagement with communities and our social investing from a company perspective, and some of the things that happen within the environment, social governance space at Freeport. Cherie and I are 2 of our team members who are based in our Phoenix office. And then we also have community development managers at our sites in communities. We'll share with you where those are a bit later in the presentation. And then we also will have Danielle and Maria join us during the presentation. They are both in our recruiting group, and they'll speak a little more specifically to what they look for when they're recruiting and what some of the opportunities are from that perspective within the company. So with that, we'll jump over to the Mentimeter slide or the screen, and we can see what we've had inputted there. Great. All right. So STEM teacher, CTE teacher, okay, CNA program instructor, Arizona Western College. I believe that's in Yuma, correct? Math, advanced math. Okay, Tucson Unified School District. Great, Yuma. All kinds of different opportunities for education represented. So that's exciting. Great. All right. So as I mentioned, we are excited to share with you about mining. And we understand that folks come to the discussion with different ideas and different things they think about mining. And so another Menti question that we would like folks to answer is around one word that comes to mind when you think about mining. And we'll just put it out there. The Menti is completely anonymous, no pressure if it's something that you don't think we'll like. This is really just a way to kind of get a sense of where folks are, coming from the perspective of mining. And while we're filling some of that in, I'm going to go ahead and put into the chat. Will you just go back real quickly? Sheree, I'm going to put the Menti code in the chat so that everyone has access to it at all times.
Perfect.
That's there. So now we'll turn it over to you. We'll jump to the screen that shows the feedback from this after we just give a little overview about the company.
All right. Thanks, Angie. So for those of you who don't know, our operations have been active in Arizona since 1880. And as you know, copper is one of Arizona's 5 Cs. Copper mining was critical in building Arizona's economy and continues to play a critical role in sustaining our economy. We mine copper, gold, and molybdenum across the globe. So people aren't as familiar with molybdenum, but it's actually an element that strengthens steel. So it's essential in electronics, machinery, buildings, planes, trains, automobiles, you name it. And so the only other alloy stronger than molybdenum is actually titanium, which is significantly more expensive. So we're in the market for affordable molybdenum. So that's our fun fact for the day. So we actually mine molybdenum in our Colorado operations, and we mine our copper here in Arizona. So careers at Freeport-McMoran, as you can see, we have more than 26,000 employees worldwide. We have so many opportunities here in the US. Copper continues to be in demand. It's a core component in our global renewable energy transition, telecommunications, technology, public health. So we are very pleased to be sharing the diverse career opportunities we have here at Freeport-McMoran with all of you, so you can go on and share them with your students. Our map shows our overview of where we are at our global operations. We're around the world, and here in the US, we're in Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas. So again, so many opportunities available across the state of Arizona, and we are really excited to share these opportunities with your students.
I think, and we'll encourage folks to ask questions as we go. Feel free to use the chat or to just take yourselves off mute and ask. We're definitely open to that. And we're going to be sharing with you a lot of resources that are part of our partnership with Discovery Education. We have a partnership called Dig Into Mining. And so a lot of the resources that you'll see today are from that partnership. All right, so here are some of the words that came in for what comes to mind when you think about mining. So copper is with a word cloud, the word that is entered the most is the biggest if you haven't done a word cloud before. So someone said dwarfs. I'm assuming that's with Snow White and the 7 dwarfs and how they did mining. That was, at first I was like, is that a misspelling? But I think that might be what that one is. Okay, so we see messy and pollution. Totally get that. Machines, extraction. Yep. And then natural resources. And Bingham Canyon, yep, that is not a Freeport mine, but that is definitely a large mine. If you've been in the Salt Lake City area, that is a mine that is, a lot of our operations are in rural parts of the state. And so that's one that is more close to a city, so we often see them. Great, well, thank you for that. All right, so we are going to jump back to the presentation and show you a video. Again, this was developed in partnership with Discovery Education. This is just an overview of the copper mining process. It was filmed at several different locations where we had done some work through our partnership with Discovery across the Freeport portfolio. So it's not just at one mine or another, but it will just give you a sense of what happens at our operations. And if it's hard to hear, I would encourage you to turn the volume up on your end.
Yeah, can you guys hear?
Mining. It touches so many aspects of modern life. Without it, materials like copper to carry electricity, aluminum for building, aircraft, iron and steel for construction. Even ordinary table salt wouldn't be readily available. The average person uses about 40,000 pounds of mined materials every year in products ranging from automobiles to cell phones. As we move to a greener economy, copper and other mined materials will play a critical role in future technological advances. When you start digging into mining, you quickly get a sense of the many technical processes used to produce the materials that enhance our lives. Even though many types of equipment and techniques are used to extract minerals from the earth, the process is easy to understand once you know the steps involved. First, mineral deposits have to be discovered, mapped, and explored. Numerous rounds of environmental, geologic, and feasibility studies are needed to ensure that a mine is economically viable before it's ever started. Massive infrastructure and diverse teams of people must be assembled and deployed, first to build the mine and then to operate it safely with minimal environmental impact. While metals like gold and copper have been mined for thousands of years, it's been said that copper is more important today than at any point in human history, for use in a host of applications like wiring, plumbing, electronics, and green energy applications. Almost anything that involves conductivity and connectivity. Copper mining is particularly interesting and challenging because there are two distinct processes used for extraction, depending on the type of ore involved. In the pyrometallurgical process, copper-bearing particles are first liberated from host rock by crushing and grinding. Froth flotation then separates and further concentrates these copper-bearing minerals. Finally, the smelting process uses heat energy to purify copper by removing iron and sulfur impurities. Naturally occurring copper ores typically contain less than 1% copper. These copper levels must be increased so that smelting can be conducted economically. Copper concentrate from the froth flotation stage is further purified in copper smelters by heating the concentrate to 2200 degrees Fahrenheit. A system of furnaces and blowers removes iron and sulfur impurities so that copper can be cast into 850-pound slabs called anodes that are more than 99% pure. The hydrometallurgical approach, on the other hand, uses chemical energy to leach copper from ore. In some cases, ores are crushed before leaching begins. In other cases, uncrushed or run-of-mine ores are processed. Ore is spread out onto leach pads and an acidic solution is applied. This dilute and impure liquid then travels to the solvent extraction, or SX plant, where the copper is concentrated and purified using special chemicals called chelating agents. The resulting concentrated copper solution is called electrolyte. During electrowinning, the final phase of the hydrometallurgical extraction process, copper-bearing electrolyte is passed between electrodes. Over a period of several days, electric current causes copper to be plated out of solution as large flat sheets called copper cathodes that are 99.999% pure. Which process works best? That depends on the mineralogy of the rock containing the initial copper deposits. For sulfide ores, where copper must be physically separated using heat, the pyromet process works best. For oxide ores that dissolve readily in acid, the hydromet process is a more efficient and cost-effective way to go. Regardless of which pathway is chosen, the end result is the same: finished copper ready for market. In mining, amazing feats of science and engineering combine to provide a host of essential materials on a staggering scale for countless applications and industries around the globe.
All right, so as I mentioned, we have a partnership with Discovery Education called Dig Into Mining, and we want to do an activity with all of you that's specific to career exploration that's part of the Dig Into Mining site. Before we jump into that though, just to provide some context, we wanted to show you the resource. It is digintomining.com. And you'll see, we're going to spend some time later in the presentation just sharing and talking through some of the specific resources that are there. But the video that we just showed you is available on this site, as are the other things that we'll do in the presentation today. So the first thing that we're going to do, I'm sharing in the chat a link to this site for all of you. So if you are able and can click on the link that I just dropped into the chat, it's going to take you to this career exploration activity that is part of Dig Into Mining. So I'll give everyone a minute. Feel free to jump off of mute or put in the chat if you're having any challenges accessing that. And then once you get there and click on the Start Now icon, it's going to bring you to the opening page. And we thought we would take a few minutes, so 5 or 6 minutes here, for you to actually go ahead and go through the activity. So what you do is you go through the 12 questions that are there, and then it will share with you some careers that are within our industry that might be of interest to you based on your selections. So we'll go ahead and play some music and give you guys some time to just go ahead and go through this activity. All right. Is everyone at a place that have been able to get through it? I'm seeing nods. Okay, great. So what we want to do is then just have a little bit of a discussion with everyone on thoughts around the activity. Were they career opportunities that you thought you would see in the mining industry? Were you surprised by some of the career opportunities that were presented to you? And then also, is this an activity that you think that you could use with your students? So interested in feedback from that perspective as well. And again, we're very open to feedback. We want to hear if there's things that you don't think are great or whatever, because we can always improve upon what's there. So would like to just open it up for discussion if anyone's willing to share.
I think the jobs kind of really ran the gamut from human resource operator to equipment operator. So I like the degree of variety that it had. It wasn't just focused on one area.
Great, thanks, Michael.
I'm going to jump in a little bit with that because it sounds like I got something very similar to Michael. But one thing I noticed was a lot of them were progressive. So it starts off, just like a truck driver or something, but then it goes on to like an engineer. And so I feel like this is a good opportunity for the students to see where they can start and how they can work themselves up into it. And I like that it gives you the option. Like, I like being outdoors, so I don't have to do something inside. So I like that a lot.
Great, good. Thanks.
I know for me, the number one thing that I liked is looking at these questions were actually easy enough for students to understand. A lot of the times when you do exploration, it's kind of confusing or worded in ways that students have never thought about. These were worded in ways that I think the students would actually understand and be able to answer the questions.
Great, great. Did anyone notice or have a chance? I don't know if you see, so this screenshot on the, I'm using my pointer and without knowing that I'm not, but so the career choices, I just did a screenshot from when I did the questions one time, and then to the right is a career profile. And so then the other image on the slide is what comes up when you select the career profile. So I don't know if anyone was able to get to the point of looking at that, but that really then gets into what the responsibilities are, recommended high school courses. It talks a little bit about, what an average salary is. This is not Freeport specific salary. They pulled that information from the Labor Bureau. But it really then, if something comes up, then you have this opportunity to dig deeper and get into more specifics around the position and what are the needed, what you need to do in order to attain to that role. Any thoughts on that piece of it? Did anyone get a chance to look into that? And did anybody get a job that you've never heard of before, or you didn't think would be something that popped up as something that you might be interested in doing? Nope. Thanks for the comments in the chat too. Those are good, good to hear and read. All right, well, as I said, we're gonna go into the Dig Into Mining resource later, the website, and show you where these things are and how you can use them. And we also shared a one-pager that I know the team will share out with all of you afterwards, so that you'll have that as a resource as well. So the next slide is another resource that's part of Dig Into Mining. We have 3 different career profile videos. And they span a range of career opportunities, just like you saw in the activity. The one that we're going to watch right now is a mechanic at she works at our Baghdad mine here in Arizona. The other 2 you'll see when we visit the site. There's one who is a metallurgist, and then also a data scientist. And so again, we share kind of the spectrum of from a skilled trade role of what we need to a more typical traditional mining role with a metallurgist, and then helping people also understand that data science, that we do a lot of stuff with data and using all of that too. So I'm wanting to show that full kind of gamut of options too. So we'll go ahead and watch this video.
I was a tomboy, complete tomboy, feisty. Anytime my dad was mechanicking at home on vehicles or neighbors' vehicles, I was right there with him. To be a really good mechanic, you have to want to work hard. You have to be willing to go with change. You never know what's gonna break. So I think you just have to have a good attitude and, a whole lot of heart. Our mill is large and loud. You've got large pieces of heavy equipment, machinery. Being one of the only women in mill maintenance is absolutely amazing. I have completely been accepted into the maintenance culture with all of the guys. It's just absolutely incredible. I battled with a lot of the older gentlemen not really being fully accepting of me being here at first. And I don't know if it's all because of me being a female or my size, but I did have to, about a month in, pull a few aside and say, listen, I am here to stay. You not teaching me and letting me do things is setting back our entire crew. And from that point on, they were like, absolutely. They were 100% supportive, and it's been a really awesome journey. Problem solving. That is every day. Not everything's cut and dry, one way to fix it. You always have to be on your toes and willing to try something new. My advice to students, or really anyone, would just be to 100% always be yourself. Know that you matter and that you don't always have to have degrees. Trades are equally important to this industry. We need mining. Copper is in everything, and women in mining, full force. A lot of our haul truck operators and road crew operators in our pit, a lot of them are women. We're doing some amazing things. Last year we broke 26 records, so it's really just an awesome opportunity right now to be in mining. I have an awesome job, and so it's really kind of cool.
So we love that video for a number of different reasons. Would love to get any thoughts from all of you on that video, and if you think it would resonate with your students or provide a understanding that they might not have had prior to watching.
I feel like I'm talking a lot, but I really like that one because I teach physical education to all girls. And so I think it hits a couple of things. Like, it really just gives them that girl power and allows them to see that there's a lot more out there for them rather than the stereotypical girly things. And then also, I just like that she showed that she started out exercising and she talked about the big, heavy equipment. And it really helps to link what they're doing in physical activity to real world situations and careers, saying you have to stay physically fit for a lot of these activities. Even being a mechanic, like, you're going to have to lift heavy things and using your hands a lot and always on your feet. And so I think that it kind of helps link why are you doing this now? It's for something later.
Great. Yeah, I never thought about that. That's really an interesting take on that. Thanks. We like the talking, Emma. Don't feel
Yeah.
Don't feel bad. Great. I see the comment about the discussion that not everything requires a college degree. And that's really important. And you'll hear when Maria and Danielle talk about where a lot of our needs are. And so really that's a message that we try to make pretty evident across the what we need. Great. Thanks for the feedback. All right. So Shree's going to share what some of the other stuff is that you can find on the Dig Into Mining site.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Angie. So the career profiles will be up here at the top. We just heard from CC, our mill mechanic. We also have Travis, who's a data scientist, and we have Rebecca, who's a metallurgist. And then if you download these career guides, it'll give you additional information about the specific career. We also, another career guide that we have, you can find under family resources. We have family extensions that can be done at home. It could be actually a homework assignment as well. This Mine Your Future PDF will match skills to certain trades. So similar kind of what you guys saw through that career activity, it gave you a kind of a snapshot of what the different industry careers are and a snapshot of salary and whatnot. And so this specific PDF highlights this number of careers, and then it goes and there's a PDF for each one that gives a definition and the salary ranges, and then just some additional context on the degrees needed to achieve that career. So that's a great resources that ties back to careers. We also have, oops. Yeah, move my bar back up. Under teacher resources, we have classroom extensions, which are great for middle school and high school students. If you click on these, there's classroom extensions, again, PDFs. These all back up to science standards and math standards. It'll list them within the individual PDFs. So these are great resources. Again, it's divided by middle school and high school. Let's go back. Yeah, we have innovation in mining, microbial mining. So again, those science and math standards are listed on the cover page of each of these PDFs. So we can use them in accordance with any of the curriculum that you're teaching, and they're already built out. There's little to do on your end with regards to preparing. It's kind of all kind of built out for you, which is incredibly useful. We also have a number of digital explorations, again, that you could find. There's a way to find these resources. They're kind of scattered across, but the teacher resources will be the best kind of link to click on. We have our digital explorations. That the one that you just did earlier was our careers exploration. We also provide Aim to Reclaim Virtual Lab. This shows students a reclamation process. So it goes through how we, after we're done extracting and the ore is no longer available, we go and we return that environment to its original state, if not better. We ensure the vegetation and animal life that lived on that property before. We ensure that we bring that all back. This copper and cars one is really fun. My nephew loved this one. So it just goes through all of the, it shows you all the different ways that copper is used in cars, and it's super interactive. And yeah, so there's a number of those that are great to use in class. Again, as homework assignments would be great. And then let's see what other, I think that wraps the career resources or the other resources. There's also virtual field trips as well, which kind of brings you into, yeah, mining a day, life of mining. It'll go through exploration planning, hydro, pyro, reclamation, again, the journey through copper processing. So we've just pretty much built out a curriculum for you. for hopefully most of you will find use in this. So we definitely want to refer teachers here, students here, as well as family and friends that are going to be having students in their home. It's great for summer exercises or summer learning lessons. And we're constantly updating this site. So again, like Angie mentioned, your feedback in the chat, which I haven't been able to check out yet because I'm sharing my screen, but we definitely take that into consideration. And if you do end up using any of these resources in your classrooms, please let us know about any other additional ones that you'd love to see on the site, because we're absolutely continuing our partnership with Discovery Education. So we're always looking at what makes the most sense, and we want to bring relevant materials to teachers and to students. So your feedback is very helpful and critical.
Yeah, thanks, Sheree. I think one other thing to point out is if you go to the teacher resources, just hover over the drop down again, you'll see that there are some of the things have been translated into Spanish. We have not translated all of the digital explorations, but all of the classroom activities have been translated into Spanish. So that's another resource that is there in the family extensions. So wanted to point that one out as well. Any thoughts on your initial first kind of view? Has anyone used this resource before or was aware of this resource before this discussion? I see some.
I had in the previous years. I think you guys just started putting this program together, but I really didn't dig in as deep as it is now. I think it's come a long way.
Oh, good.
What I'm seeing, there's a lot more resources and stuff like that. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for sharing. All right. Well, we hope that you guys are able to take it back and use it. And what we wanted to ask now before we turn it over to Danielle and Maria is do one more Menti question with you where just share something new that you might have learned about mining that you didn't know prior to our time together today. So again, completely anonymous, just interested in what might have been a spark of, oh, I never knew this, or I never thought about that, and also if you want to plug something in, like this would be a great addition to the to dig into mining. We would love to see that as well. Or I didn't really like this. I'm not sure it's the best approach. Totally open to any and all feedback. All right, so while you're, we'll give you some time to respond there, and then we'll turn it over to Danielle and Maria.
Awesome. Well, Angie, thank you for having Danelle and I here today. We're really excited to be able to present on some of the opportunities that we have and to help teachers kind of prepare their students for what's ahead. And so Danelle and I were both supervisors in the recruiting department at Freeport, and we recruit for everything in the whole company, everything from internships, skilled trades, professional roles, senior management, leadership, and everything in between. So we see a lot of what who's successful and what it takes to be successful in this industry and in these different roles. And so I wanted to start off first I was going to focus on skilled trades, and then Danelle's going to tell you about professional roles. So as far as skilled trades opportunities go, it's a really great path for people who are not maybe as interested in going to school for continuing education. However, I would keep in mind that there is a lot of educational opportunities and a lot of benefit to doing certain educational opportunities in skilled trades. So some of these would include if they wanted to become electricians, Boilermakers or welders or mechanics. And so, and at least in the mining industry, when we talk about these things, we're talking about heavy industrial. So your electrician is going to be working on very high voltage. You know, it's not electronics, it's electrician, heavy machinery work. In fact, Andrew can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I heard a statistic that Morenci, Arizona is the largest power user in the state. You know, so there's a lot of, you know, high voltage happening out there, just as an example. Our Boilermakers and our welders, they're working on all of our machinery, whether that's doing welding and maintenance on our trucks, on our fixed plant equipment, on our mills, you know, anything that needs a weld, they're there for that. And then our mechanics are also all over the place. They're doing anything that needs to be fixed. And there's different types of mechanics. There's like fixed plant, there's field pump. There's a lot of things dealing with pumps, dealing with mills, dealing with diesel diagnostic work. So there's just a lot of different options. No mechanic is the same. No mechanic is going to have the same day-to-day job. They're all going to be rotating around and doing a little bit different work. So as far as education options, I know that a lot of high schools, especially here in Arizona, have JTED programs, which students who go through those programs really have a leg up when they come into work for us, because they've already been exposed to some of the things that we would be training them as they come into the company. So if you have students who think they might want to do a trade, I would tell you to encourage them to try out their local JTED program, so that way they can start to get a feel for what that would look like for them. Another thing would be a lot of community colleges and trade schools have programs. So whether that's like UTI or Pima or Yavapai, a lot of them have like diesel mechanic programs or electrician programs or instrumentation programs, stuff like that, where they go to school for, it's about 2 years, and they come out with a lot of really valuable skills that allow them to, just like a 4-year degree would do, it lets them enter in at a little bit of a higher level than if they were to come straight out of high school. Another thing out there is a lot of companies, including us, do apprenticeships. So the apprenticeship is where they're kind of getting their education and their work done at the same time. So it's basically on the job experience with classroom work intermixed into it. So that's another really great way to get into a trade. I'm sure you've heard, there's like HVAC apprenticeships and electrician. You can become journeymen in certain fields and stuff like that. So that's also a really great, and I will say lucrative option as well for people looking to get into trades, because basically when you're an apprentice, you're getting paid to be educated because you're working and training at the same time. And then on the job training. So here at Freeport, for example, a lot of our skilled trades people, they come in through what we call just either our laborer or our helper or our trainee position. And basically those positions are exactly what they say. They're there to train you. So you come in, you learn about safety, you learn about the work to be done, you're shadowing people, you're getting signed off on operating or maintaining different equipment, and then you're progressing through the jobs as well. So maybe you start as a laborer, you do that for 90 days, then you move into you would move into either like a helper position or a trainee position, start to get to know a certain area of the mine, and then move up from there. So that's also a really great path, as well. So if they don't want to go with any of the education options, starting from the ground and working their way up is definitely, at least here at Freeport, something that a lot of people do very successfully. So as far as skills to gain in high school goes, for skilled trades, math and measurements. I know I was not a math person in high school, but I've learned it's something you can't escape. Every job is going to have a little bit of that basic math, whether that's measuring out the distance of things or the weight of things, or recording different things. Also communication, especially in mining. We're one of the most extroverted industries, I would say, just because you're communicating with people from all different backgrounds, whether that's the engineer or another mechanic or an electrician. And I am having really bad internet issues, so tell me if I go out, by the way, just so you know. And then anyways, moving on here for computers, more and more, a lot of our skilled trades people are needing to work on a computer as well. So whether that's working in dispatch or logging things in the computer, or even in the haul trucks, if they're driving a haul truck, there's a monitor that they have to follow to get around where they're going. So just continuing to encourage people to stay engaged in their computer skills, which is probably not as difficult for this generation as it maybe has been for previous generations. And then lastly would be mechanical aptitudes. So a lot of the people who are successful in skilled trades, they, like Cece said in the video, they worked on their dad's cars when they were kids, or they, just kind of tinkered. They were tinkerers. They liked working with their hands. So just continuing to gain those skills and experimenting and trying new things are all really valuable. As far as development opportunities here at Freeport, I mentioned we have an apprentice program. Typically that's open to internal employees as a way to help get education, but sometimes we do open that externally as well. And basically what that is you come into this apprentice program for 2 years, and you're a combination of working and then also doing coursework. You have homework, stuff like that. It's just kind of like going to school and working at the same time, but you're paid full time plus overtime. And then at the end of the program, you are placed into a role. So it's just kind of a way to get you a little bit more skilled up. And then the other great thing about these apprentice programs that we offer is obviously we're doing it because we want you to stay here, but there's skills that you can take anywhere. So, once you have, your electrical apprenticeship done, you can really carry that with you through the rest of your career. So that's one opportunity. Another thing we have is summer temporary operator roles. So people who are over 18, if they just want to kind of get their hands dirty and try out working in a mine, they can come and drive a water truck for us for 3 months. It is shift work, like most of these roles are. So they might work some nights and rotate between days and nights, but also have a really good chunk of days off in between that. But that's another great option. I know we have quite a few positions open for that right now. But like I said, they do have to be 18 to be eligible for that. And then lastly, we have a program with the Yavapai Community College up in Prescott, where they have a partnership between the Baghdad mine and their college, and they will send Baghdad basically kind of pays for their tuition and then also gives them work experience at the same time. And I don't know too many details about that, but I do know that there's a partnership that exists there that has had a lot of awesome results. So that's what I wanted to talk about with skilled trades. And then I'll let Danelle touch on professional roles before we go to questions.
You're on mute, Danelle.
I can take it if Danelle is having audio issues.
How about now?
You're good? Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, well then let me mute it here. Okay, perfect. Can you hear me now? Awesome.
Yep.
Okay, so my name is Danelle Miner, and I have been with Freeport for almost 2 years. And yes, that is my real last name. Just so happens that I do work for a mining company. A little bit about career paths and paths that are open for professional opportunities. I'll touch on a few. So HR being one, there's a lot of opportunity within HR, whether it's starting out through an internship perhaps, and working your way up into whether it's an analyst or a business partner or within staffing and recruiting. There's a lot of potential within HR. But then we have our MIS group, which I will say I'm pretty fond of. I actually focused on MIS for almost 2 years. So one of the greatest things about Freeport is when you're looking at technologies, the candidates that are going to be interested in these roles are going to be extremely interested because Freeport has their hands on anything and everything that is the latest technology, which is you're only going to find in the top 4 to 5 tech companies. So it's a huge selling point there. There's a lot of potential from data analyst, data scientist, business solutions architects, all different types of architects. I will say our IT group is very vast and diverse. We also have accounting and finance, and that's everything from tax to senior accountants and pretty much anything and everything you can think of that would fall under that. The next group would be engineering. Some of the opportunities that we would have would be project engineers, all civil, mechanical, electrical, automation, mining and geological engineering, as well as metallurgical and chemical engineering, which, yes, that word does take quite a while to get used to if you're not used to saying it every day. Some other opportunities would be environmental, technical, health and safety, and chemistry. In terms of educational options, most of these do require post-secondary education, but I will say over the last year, there's been some trends that do or have options where it's education and or experience, along with a high school diploma or GED. So there is always that option as well on some of our opportunities. Skills to gain in high school would be math, measurements, as Maria mentioned, as well as communication. Both written and verbal, I think, are pretty important in the majority of these roles. And then computers, whether it's, the daily using, as you saw, I had technical issues today. So being able to work through those are pretty important. Development opportunities, internship program is, I actually would like for Maria to touch on this. She came from college recruiting and she'll be able to provide a lot more detail, but I think that it's really key to touch on that quickly. So Maria,
Yeah.
do you mind jumping back in?
Absolutely. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, so we have a pretty robust internship program for college students. Usually we'll take between 150 to 300 interns every summer. And they come work for us for 12 weeks. And we take interns in all of those things you see listed there under career paths, we'll take an intern for, and several interns for that. And basically our interns get to either go work out at one of our mine sites or at our corporate office and gain that hands-on experience. All of our internships offer value add experience. So they're not just getting coffee, they're actually, doing work that needs to get done. And then the goal of the program is that if they had a successful internship with us, we'd want to offer them a full-time position at the end because we use it as our pipeline to full-time employment. So what we do is we go through an evaluation period and we, people discuss, how all these interns did. And then, if they're successful, we'll call them up and give them an offer even before they graduate for some people. And so they can either come back and do multiple internships with us if they're not graduating, or they can come right in full-time as soon as they're done. So that's a really amazing opportunity. A lot of the engineers and professionals who work in our company came through that. That internship program and have been here ever since. So that's something that if you have students who go to college, they should definitely look out for that, because we will take interns starting their freshman year of college. So and that kind of ties into the career development program. So each we have our different disciplines each have these programs for their employees that fall underneath them. So there's like a mining and geology one, there's project engineering, stuff like that. And then basically that group of senior leadership, they talk about all these people in their group every time, every month, and they say, hey, how are these people doing, where they're at, who's ready for a promotion, who's ready for a new opportunity at another site. And they just talk about what are the best ways to be developing our people. And so through that's how our employees are able to promote pretty easily and seamlessly throughout the company, rather than really like belaboring the process. So that's my little internship spiel there. Danelle, take it away.
We do have a question, and I know we're about out of time, so I would, if you guys can respond, how do criminal backgrounds impact young adults from pursuing licenses required for trades jobs? So if you guys can respond to that so that we don't run over.
Yeah, so we do background checks on all of our employees, but it's really more dependent on the distance of time between it and what the grievance was. So, like for example, if they're going to be operating equipment and they had a recent DUI, that's not going to work for us because they need to be able to drive equipment safely. So it really is kind of a case by case basis. But what we encourage everyone to do is apply and go through that background check, because you just it really is dependent upon what the company's tolerance is. So I had a guy the other day, he called me and he said, hey, I have to tell you, I have a criminal record. You ran a background check on me 3 years ago and I didn't get hired. I'm worried that that's going to happen again. I said, you know what, just do it again. Let's do the background check. And he passed and he's working for us now. So it really has more to do with time rather than what the incident was.
Great. Casey, are we, should we wrap everything up here, or do we have time for any other questions there might be? I think there might be another session that everyone has to get to.
Yeah, so we're ending up. If you want to go ahead and start wrapping up, I encourage, if anybody has any additional questions, we can go ahead and type those in the chat, and we can either follow up via email afterwards, or if we want to stick around for anybody that has specific questions, we can do that.
Great. So we'll just quickly jump to the Mentimeter responses, and so people can see those. And we're really at the end of our presentation. So Kathleen asked, are there non-skilled trade related entry-level jobs that someone can get hired into and work their way up? So.
Yes, absolutely. That's where, start as a laborer or a helper or a trainee and work up from there. Those degrees require no experience at all.
Great. All right. Well, thank you all for taking some time to learn more about Freeport-McMoran and the opportunities that we have available for individuals. I think another thing to point out, we talked a little bit about, is we have a lot of our minds are in rural communities. So if you have students who have a interest in some of the that's of potential interest to them, I think that's another thing to think about in referring them to Freeport as something to look at as a potential career opportunity. We're always looking for folks who would love to move to one of the communities where we are and look at the options and become a community member where we are. So thanks again for everyone. Thanks to our internal team. Thanks for asking us to participate in this, and to the team for putting this together for the participants. We didn't provide our contact information on the PowerPoint, but glad to have those shared out through the ElevateEd team. You're welcome to reach out to us if you have any other questions or anything after this time. Thanks all.
Yes, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.